Hey team, on today's episode of the podcast, we have my very good friend, Jim DeCicco, older brother of Super Coffee, and we chat all things awesome. Particularly, we talk about why showing up can set you apart and the importance of building a brand around positive energy, which is what Super Coffee is. At the same time, we bake a baller Keto brownie upon request from my man Jim. Make sure you spit this one out. I'm gonna say co-owner, co-founder, just co-legend with your awesome brothers.
There we go.
Jim DeCicco of Super Coffee. Welcome to the Epic Table Podcast.
Happy to be here, brother. Thank you.
As you tip yourself with this epic new flavor, we're not going to go too much into this, but we just, I've poured myself, I was fully banking, as I said, on you bringing me a Super Coffee here this afternoon, pouring that in over ice. What have we got? Maple pumpkin.
Maple pumpkin, just in time for this fall.
And which one was it? The ball? Which brother was it?
Jordan, the youngest brother, is he's the chef behind all this stuff.
What a legend! What a legend. Speak, mate. I think we have so many connections. I think the first connection was Forbes 30 for 30, wasn't it?
That's right.
Both same alumni. I'm an alumni. I'm an alumni. I don't ever say that's an American thing, right?
That's right.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Respect. Same class.
So, man, you are obviously there epically because you've got you and your brothers to be part of. You've built Super Coffee.
Building, it's a work in progress.
I love that. But you've done, I mean, up until this point, if we look back on it right now though, you've got to look back and go, wow, right?
Yeah, I mean, it started in a dorm room. Now we're...
That's so cool.
Yeah, so it's evolution, right?
Sure.
We're learning every day. Same deal with you. But it's cool, man. Yeah, I think that there's so many similarities to how we got to where we got to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now we're hanging.
We're hanging out. We'll talk about hanging. Just for those who don't know what Super Coffee is, let's give us a quick little brand, understanding. Positive energy, it's what you guys are about.
That's it. We make coffee, but our goal is to mass produce positive energy, right? So I'm the oldest of three brothers. We're all college athletes, and 3 years ago, my youngest brother was falling asleep in class. He didn't want to drink the sugary Starbucks Frappuccino or Dunkin' Donuts bottled coffee. So he brewed coffee without sugar, with a little protein, a little healthy fat from coconuts, and he dropped out of school to sell this stuff. So here we are 3 years later.
We're going to definitely talk more about that in depth, but I love how you've highlighted the fact that you're not a product. You are actually a company that builds positive energy. You take steps into building an ethos that you want your consumers to be a part of, not to purchase a product, but to live in a way that is so epic. And that is, like, I've been to your office and you have a welcome mat that has positive energy. The place has positive vibes. You and your brothers invoke a team that are just so happy and energetic. And that, as much as we always don't take credit as leaders of a company, you do have to, because the team is an extension of you guys. And I think that's, just as a bit of credit, like me knowing your team, they're coming into Charlie Street every day for us to see them. They are the people that you obviously want to surround yourself with, but it's an extension of what you and your brothers have done. So hats off to you, my man.
Dude, appreciate it.
So you've obviously, massive accolades, Forbes 30 under 30, like that's huge. But how do we get there? You obviously talked about how the product was made, but how do you go from still creating in your dorm?
That's right.
To like, actually, hang on, how do you go from being in a dorm to you and your brothers going, well, let's all do this together? Because I'm thinking about it, my brothers and I love them to death, and they're my best mates as well. But if I was thinking my two brothers and I to do something together, we'd probably rip each other's head off.
Yeah.
How did that come together?
Yeah, it was crazy, man. None of us ever dreamed of working together, certainly not running a coffee company. Like I said, we all played sports. Jordan wanted to go to the NBA, that's the youngest brother. So, I mean, he would just go shoot free throws all day long, and we thought basketball was his thing until he got hooked on coffee. And he called me and told me, I had just graduated, I was working on Wall Street. He called me and said, hey man, I'm dropping out of school to start a coffee company. And I knew he was working on it. I've tasted the product before. And I knew that there was no convincing him otherwise, right? So it's like, if you can't beat him, join him. And Wall Street wasn't my passion. So I quit my job, and our mom, she was done, right? Her youngest son had a full scholarship. I had a great job. Jake was just about to graduate. And we called mom and we're like, hey, George's dropping out of school. I'm quitting my job and we're going to sell coffee.
Oh my God. Imagine being mom.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Jeez. I could just think about that if I went to my mom, hey mom, I just want to let you know my brothers and I got an idea to do. It's not fully in stone or anything. And I'm going to drop out of school and he's going to quit his job and we're going to join forces. She would lose her, I'm going to say marbles because she doesn't swear. So she's going to lose her marbles. What did your mum say?
She does swear. Our mom does swear. She said a lot of swear words.
So did she swear?
Oh yeah. But so our parents were both college athletes too. So mom is super competitive, 5 feet tall, 100 pounds. She's like this little ball of energy. So after it took a few weeks for her to get comfortable that this was the decision we had made. And since then, she's been our biggest fan.
That's awesome.
Sweeping the floors of the factory when we were making our first runs. She still, to this day, she's got a full-time job. She pours samples every single weekend. Goes to her local grocery store and pours samples of super coffee.
That's epic.
Yeah. So, I mean, for the first year, my brothers and I, we made our own product. We made our own deliveries. We stocked the shelves. We sent the invoices. It was just 3 of us. And once we proved that we had a product that could sell, we were able to raise a little bit of money and hire people hopefully that are smarter than us, that can tell us what to do. And today, I mean, 3 years later, we've raised $20 million. We got 50 full-time employees.
Yeah. What's your valuation?
Hopefully north of 2, but we got some work to do.
I just want to put that in perspective. Like, not 2 million. I'm just going to put that a little bit above that. And that's where I want to say you've built a coffee company. You've actually built a brand at a phenomenal scale, and you guys are mid-20s, which is awesome. A huge credit to you. Let's take a few steps back. Now, what you've done there is, did you quit your job and use your savings? Like, did you have seed money? Like, how did that all start? Because I'm thinking, like, you saying you're doing everything yourself. Off the bat, like, were you making money off the bat to live after 3 brothers? Like, how'd that work?
No. So we started down in D.C. My brother went to Georgetown, middle brother.
Sure.
And on the weekends, I would sell beer. I was the Bud Light guy at the Baltimore Ravens games.
What?
Yeah, dude.
Can you do your best, like, what was it? Get your beer.
Super coffee here. Every game, I would slip a couple super coffees in. Nobody bought them. Yeah, nobody bought them because it wasn't good back then.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, no, that's it. You paid the bills, right? Like, we didn't really have a social life, and we loved what we were doing. You asked about how we get along together. Super competitive, but now we're on the same team, right? Whereas growing up, we used to fight in the backyard, playing all kinds of sports. Now we're on the same team with the same goals in mind, and each of us brings like a unique skill set to the table.
Sure.
I think there would be a lot of abrasiveness and tension if we all wanted to be the same person working on the same thing. So we got lucky in that regard.
And do you find that, I think I know the answer to this, but you know, being competitive, putting 3 competitive brothers together, but now on the same team, I mean, if I think from a sporting perspective, if I came up against a very competitive team where they're all unified, it's very hard to stop them.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like now, I mean, we've all been on good teams and bad teams growing up, and for us now it's like you can kind of control your own destiny. You know, we're going up against Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, 2 of the most iconic brands of all time. You don't show up to the game thinking you're going to lose. You know, like you show up, even if all odds are against you, everybody in the stadium thinks you're going to lose. You show up with everything you got to win, right? Otherwise stay at home.
Great attitude. Do you see them as actual competitors? Like, do you look at Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, the biggest, like Dunkin' Donuts, I'm pretty sure is the biggest importer of beans in America, which is a massive surprise. Everyone thought it was going to be Starbucks. But do you look at them and actually go, they are our competitors?
Yeah, on the ready-to-drink side, right? We're not doing cafes or hot beans or anything like that, but bottled coffee's $2.5 billion. Starbucks Frappuccino does $2 billion in sales every year. It's got 40 grams of sugar, 300 calories. Like, it is our obligation to dethrone them, you know, for the health of our country, for the health of the world, you know. So, like, yeah, it's a lofty goal, but that's what we're after.
And is that what motivates you? Like, is that honestly that side of the health aspect going, if we are competing and putting these guys and taking away margin from them, we're doing a greater good to the society of America?
Yeah, because even though it's ambitious, it's real. You know, like just yesterday morning, we got an email from a customer. She's a senior in high school, type 1 diabetic, and she just basically said, thank you for bringing so much joy back into my life. You know, like I've never been able to enjoy a sweet coffee before, and this gives me the energy, it tastes good, like thank you. So that's a constant reminder of why we do this and why the world needs this. You know, I think people, it's got to be available, right? Because people buy what's available despite what's in it, and a lot of people don't know all the bad stuff that they're putting in their bodies. Do
you educate people on that, or do you just more of a case go, this is what we have? You
Yeah.
know, like, do you say this is what you shouldn't be having, or do you just go, you know what, here's an option for you. Don't worry about that stuff. We're just going to tell you what you should be having.
Yeah, I mean, you and I, like, we appreciate nutrition, right? And we get pretty technical about it. Yeah. But what we find, like, even though this has medium chain triglycerides and monk fruit and protein, like, it goes over people's heads pretty quick, you know? In a grocery store, you have 3 seconds to grab somebody's attention. So we've sort of dumbed that message down to 80 calories, 0 sugar. And once people taste it, it's like, oh, this tastes pretty good, you know? And so that's the key, is like, how do we get the liquid in their mouth? Because then we're convinced that they'll come back. So yeah, we're not hitting people over the head with biohacking and chemistry and all that. It's like, this stuff tastes good and it's good for you.
Dude, I'm amazed, and like, you and I hang out all the time, and like the conversations we have are pretty much exactly the same. This is like, I'm not asking you questions that I wouldn't be saying in a general coffee chat anyway. But for those listening, I'm definitely gonna be amazed at your tone and the variety of different things you're touching base on. And if you're not looking at YouTube, watching Jim right now, he's very young. So like, to hear you talking about a wide range of things is very impressive. Yet, for you as well, like, what is it that you've driven yourself to learn about? I guess going from a finance background to learning about a CPG product, to then learning about branding, which you talk about so, as vital to the growth of your business, to learning about, market share and all these kind of things. What is it? Like, because I'm sure when you were sitting in your office in Wall Street going, in a couple of years' time, I'm going to have a coffee company, you wouldn't be thinking all those skills you've learned, right?
Right, yeah. It's overwhelming, right? To stand at the bottom of the mountain and look at the top and say, how am I going to get there, right? Especially once you start comparing yourselves to Starbucks or Coca-Cola or whatever other brands came before you. So for us, it's just about consumption, throwing yourself into the fire every single day. Like, that's how you learn. I mean, Jordan was never a great student. None of us were. We weren't academically gifted or anything like that. It's just by doing, you learn by doing. I mean, you learn by experience. And I mean, you can attest to this. A month in a startup is like a year of regular time. So much happens in a day. And through that, I mean, evolve or die. We got to learn all these things.
I also think massive credit to your mum, but she's got 3 beautiful, like, loving, happy, sons. And that energy is so infectious that if someone asks, I'm sure you've done this, I've done this to you, I've asked to sit down with you and ask for coffee and advice on CPG product, right? If you asked, I'm sure you've done 1,000 times to people, they're like, well, Jim is such a good bloke. Of course I'm going to want to chat to him about something, right? Which is, I'm sure, what you've done. Just like, as a word of advice to people listening, how have you learned so much?
Totally. So I think the first thing is you got to know what you don't know, right? And don't ever pretend to know it all. And for us, like, as growing up as athletes and players, we've always had a coach. And for the first time ever, we don't have a boss, we don't have a teacher, we don't have a coach. So we reached out. There's this guy, Seth Goldman. He's the founder of Honest Tea. We talked about him and Beyond Meat. And Seth wrote a book. He sold his company to Coca-Cola back in 2011. Wrote a book called Mission in a Bottle. Jordan emailed him, and Seth, salt of the earth guy, all about paying it forward. He replied. He replies to every email he gets and says, Jordan, good luck to you boys. Read my book, and if you're still interested in starting a beverage company, call me. And since that day, we read the book, and Seth's been one of our closest friends and mentors ever since. So finding people like that, and we never would have met Seth if we didn't look up his email and shoot him a message.
Yeah, fair. And just to give some clarity as well, like, Seth's great from what you say from relationship, but there's times when you just don't hear anything as well. So not that you're being unrealistic, but just for those playing at home, you're going to get those times where you reach out and nothing happens.
Totally.
Which, for every one that you do get, there's probably 1,000 you don't.
Totally.
And it's up to you to really look at and go, do I really want to build an impactful, worldly known brand that's going to have that positive impact that I do want to have? It's going to take this in order to do it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you and your brothers have looked at.
Yeah, man. And it's one of those things where it's kind of lonely, right? Because when you need somebody to be there, when shit hits the fan, you're not always going to have that person. So it's up to you. And thankfully, there's 3 of me, right? I got 2 brothers that I'm in this with. We have to make a decision, and we like to say every decision is the right decision. Whether it's right or wrong, you sort of make it right by the effort that goes into it, right? And our coach, I had a coach in college, when somebody used to jump off sides and draw a penalty, like, they would know they made a mistake, so they'd take their foot off the gas and ease up. And our coach would be like, if you're gonna go that way, go fast, right? If you're gonna jump off the sides, do it fast. So for us, even if we make the wrong decision, we do it with so much effort and conviction that it ultimately works out.
Man, how many, like, this is so, everything you're saying right now is like pretty much the best way of coaching I respond to. I respond to a lot of sport acronyms,
yeah.
Absolutely, but also that driven behavior of high energy, let's go. People in your company, are they all like that? Because I find that's what you guys are like. And if you had to learn to deal with people who aren't, do you know what I mean? Like, as you build your company, the ethos is so important. Yes, Oven, thank you very much. And you're building a team. You're building your team.
Yeah.
Have you noticed, I'm sure you have, the different behaviors you take on and have to deal with things like that, and how you have to change the way you coach people? Because what you're talking about now is like, I'm responding to it.
Right.
If you want to coach me and get me going and get me amped up, 100%, this is the way to talk to me. But is that what everyone in your company is like?
Well, I mean, yes and no. Like, we all sort of bring out the best in each other, but we also attract people who have similar values, similar interests. You know, like if you and I get excited, that's why we hang out, right?
Absolutely.
Like, we worked out at 5:30 a.m. a couple weeks ago, and it was exactly what we were talking about. It's like we pushed each other to be better. I wouldn't have worked that hard if I was at the gym by myself.
Sure.
Right. And now that we have a team of 50 people, I can't hit snooze. You know, not because I want to sleep in, because I got 50 other people I'm accountable to. And that type of sort of camaraderie is contagious. And the bigger the team gets, the more we feed off of each other. So that's been cool. I don't think we're all cut from the same cloth, but we all sort of come in and work with intensity. Yeah.
Man, that must be so cool.
It's fun.
Like building a team is awesome. And doing it with like two people that you grew up with is unbelievable too. We're going to talk a bit more about that. We're going to get a quick break. I'm going to have a bit more of this epic new flavor of yours from Super Coffee. And we'll get chatting in a second.
Cool. Sounds good, brother.
All right, Jim. You requested something for today's little podcast. As always, we get a guest to request what they want me to cook. You asked for keto brownies.
That's right.
I've never done them before. And I have, in typical DC style, not measured anything. So I'm completely eyeballing all of this. In this bowl, we have all forms of keto goodness. For those playing at home, what is keto?
Keto is a diet. It's when you cut out all carbs and start eating fat, exogenous fat, like avocado, coconuts, MCT oil. And the thought behind it is our bodies burn fat more efficiently than we burn carbohydrates. So it's great for burning fat, losing weight, but it's also great for mental clarity. So keto, baby.
Keto. Are you keto?
Sometimes. I'm like, not always, no.
Nah. Your brother comes in though, and you get to say hi to Kale.
Yeah.
Brother comes in and he's like, looks up the board for a second, and the best thing about Charlie Street is the customizability, right? So he's like, he looks at it and goes, he's like, yo, D, can you just make me a keto bowl? I'm like, I got you, bro. And he like gets, 2 eggs, chicken, avocado, everything hummus. It's amazing. So I've got here walnuts, coconut flakes, almond flour, some raw cacao. I'm going to add in some PB as well. We've got some eggs, some coconut oil. And I'm literally just going to mix it and put it in a baking tray and see how we go.
Let's enjoy it.
How does that sound? As we talk about that, dude, I want to touch base on Super Coffee as a brand, because that's what you're building, a brand, and your ethos behind it. Because, we don't ever do anything for ourselves. We obviously, as you started off this podcast by talking about what you're trying to do and build an awesome company in Super Coffee. So talk to me a bit about your lifestyle growing up with your brothers. Were you always into fitness? Were you always into that outdoorsy living and the go kind of attitude?
Yeah, totally, man. We were super competitive. So my brothers and I, like right now, I'm 26, Jake's 25, Jordan's 24. Bang, bang, bang.
Straight up.
We all played football, basketball, baseball growing up. So
is this keto?
Oh yeah, that's keto.
Straight up.
Yeah,
All right.
throw this in. That's mocha.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
there you go.
just
That'll
quick
add a
little sidebar, guys. I'm looking at my mix and it's a bit dry, so I'm going to add in some Super Coffee.
This is getting dangerous.
This is getting super dangerous.
That's
Sorry,
right.
back to you, big man.
Yeah, all good. So yeah, I mean, we like to run around. We all happen to be pretty good athletes growing up. So everything, one-on-one basketball, wiffle ball, football in the backyard, flag football, you name it. And because of that, like we were always on the go. And the nice thing is, we were never alone because like, hey Jake, you want to go throw in the backyard? Hey George, you want to go shoot hoops? We always had a partner, a competitor, an opponent, a teammate. And with that, like that becomes a big part of your identity. So in college, we all played Division I sports. Jake and I were football, Jordan was basketball. And afterwards, once college football is over or college sports is over and you don't go to the next level, like you miss a big piece of who you are, right? Like that lifestyle that you've been so used to for 22 years is automatically just swiped away from you. And that's a tough transition. So for us, building this company is just an extension of our, like, we were so stubborn, we didn't want to give up sports, so it's competitive, we're always on. Sometimes you got to do stuff you don't want to do, waking up early, doing the hard things. So I think sports has totally enabled us to do what we do. So
when you talk about this, though, from a business perspective, like, what is the mission of Super Coffee?
Yeah, our mission is to ignite and inspire the world with positive energy.
Right.
And that is, our belief is positive energy in, healthy coffee, protein, MCT oil, zero sugar, equals healthy positive energy out, which is optimism, empathy, being nice to people. You know, like we like to say, if you change your energy, you can change your world. So for us, we just want to inspire people. You know, work hard, be nice to people. Like that's the mantra.
And I'm exactly the same. As you build a company, it's not about building a product, as we touched base earlier. But to you, why is that? Why are you so interested in building a brand over a product?
Yeah, because I mean, brand is human. You know, brand it's not fonts and colors and logos. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. It's an extension of who we are, and that's why. I mean, when Jordan decided to drop out of school, he realized there was a lot of other people like him, you know, and a lot of other people who had the same issue and needed the same solution. So for us, the fact that we're high energy guys and created high energy products and sort of have this high energy team and customers, it all makes sense. That's who our culture is, our brand.
That's so cool, dude. Like that, what you're saying is your brand is an extension of what your brothers are all about. So when you do look at a product, and do you look at it as a perspective of what your team and you've created, or is it more about like this is going to have such a positive impact on people who did not know how to solve the issue of minimal sugar, you know, that lifestyle of positive energy? What is it to you that you look at and go, I'm doing this now. Like, this is actually awesome.
Yeah, I think that brands are aspirational. You know, like you see The Rock wearing Under Armour gear and everybody wants to be like The Rock.
Yeah.
But for us, we're aspirational but also approachable. You know, it's like anybody can start their day with a little positive energy, you know. So even though it's cool and you feel like a part of a bigger community, it's very doable. You know, like we're not going to look like The Rock no matter how many days we lift.
No.
But if we drink Super Coffee, we can have a good day and be nice to people. You know, so it's more approachable. I think it's relevant and relative to everyone.
And how do you do that? How do you and your brothers, other than the product side, what is it about the brand that you every day put out to consumers to either look after the ones you already have or gain new ones?
Yeah, I think it's simply kindness, you know, and sort of obviously hard work. Like keep showing up. You're not going to create your own luck staying at home, but the ability to inspire people, like. You and I sort of, we came together like this because, I don't know, we're both good dudes. We sort of hit it off, and here we are, and that's how it is. And another story about The Rock, they say he's the most booked actor in Hollywood. He's not particularly talented, you know, like there's a bunch of better actors in front of him, but he gets the most gigs because he's great to work with, you know. So for us, I think when we're pouring samples in a grocery store or we're doing podcasts, talking online, it's like people feel that energy and they want to be a part of something.
It's so true, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the first time I actually met you. Now, before I go on with this, look at this marble peanut butter chocked little keto brownie situation going on there.
That.
So all I did, team, was I mixed all those ingredients that we had in a bowl together, and then just topped it off with some PB and then peanut butter, for those who don't know the acronym, and then moved it about. I'm going to put this in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Maddie, what is that in Celsius? Yeah, I'm gonna say no. It's about it's I'm gonna say 170.
That's a good guess.
Yeah, just everyone ask Google what 350 is before they put it in the oven, and it's gonna go to 15 to 20 minutes. Dude, I remember that moment. It was funny at an alumni event.
Oh yeah.
Of Forbes, right? Yeah, you're thinking who's at a Forbes, and to be honest, there's a lot of cool people there, and I'm there going, I'm gonna be around people who know way more things about life than I do, in areas of life I can't even pronounce, let alone spell. And then I see you and your brothers, and just for some reason it's just like, I don't know, like you and I were so relatable because we knew sport. We're just brothers essentially. You've got your brothers, I've got my brothers, and so to that, like I was attracted to that energy and that positivity, and so that's the same thing that you do every single day. When you come in here, I love Super Coffee. But I love what you and your brothers stand for and the energy you give back to me every single day. And I think that is such a good learning and key takeaway for people, that if you're a good person, at the heart and soul of whatever you do, it stands for anything. And so if you put that good person into your brand as an extension of what you're trying to achieve, you are a good person with a really good vision. People absolutely want to be a part of that.
Totally.
And to hear that you're actually at these, what do you call them? Sales blitzes? Is that what you call them?
Oh yeah, crew drives.
Yeah, so you're actually at these things, aren't you? Getting everyone going. Like, I feel like I can see you guys at these crew drives in a huddle, and you're like, quack, 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 and like Mighty Ducks all over again. Is that what it's like?
Dude, we got a new thing. It's soup up. We say soup up.
Soup up.
Yeah.
Oh,
so soup up.
dude.
We're screaming soup up, and it's inspiring. Like I said, it's like playing sports, and you're absolutely right. We get on stage, we're screaming at people, getting them fired up, and it's like we're at Starbucks. You got a target on your back. Dunkin' Donuts, you got a target on your back, and it's almost like laughable to have that type of aspiration, but our team goes out and they have a fire within them, like we're the underdogs, and it's fun. Like,
well, you guys have grown. How many years on years have you done?
This is year 4, and we've grown 600% every year.
There's a reason for that. You can look at numbers, but ultimately there's an intangible nature that a spreadsheet won't tell you, and that is a big philosophy behind what you guys do. And I think that's something that's probably going to challenge you as you continue to grow, is continue to have that culture that you and your brothers have invigorated to 50 people. How do you do that for 300?
Yeah, and that's the challenge, right? This is an inanimate object, and like we've been fortunate enough to get to know each other, but there's 400 million people in this country, like I'm not going to be able to build a personal relationship with them. So like for those of our customers who don't know us and don't know the company culture and don't know what it's like to be here, how do we sort of instill that into the product on the shelf? And that's the challenge that we're working through every day.
What do you look at as like a first couple of key action steps? So someone, say, who is building a product, like I'm building a product, right? You're talking to me. So I finally got into a store. How do I get a point of difference in that store?
Yeah, and that's simply effort.
Okay.
You nailed it. Like when I walked into that Forbes thing, I felt the same way. Everybody in here is smarter than me. They have better grades than me, more accomplished than me. There's nothing academic or like intellectual about us. We just work hard. So for us, if we get 2 facings in a grocery store, our first thing is how do we get 4 facings, right? And then how do we get 4 facings over here? And how do we get in the checkout lane? And the answer is by showing up, promising support, pouring samples. The customer, the grocery store, they want to win too. So for us, it's like, hey, the more coffee we sell, the more money you make. So if you order 10 cases, we'll come in on Saturday and pour samples until they're gone. So like it's those types of commitments to build trust with stores, build trust with chains, and starts with 1 store, then 2 stores, and then you get into Whole Foods, which is 450 stores, Walmart, 4,000 stores. There's levels of scale rather than going door to door. You're going from chain to chain.
Is that something your mum taught you growing up? Because I'm trying to think about how this level of commitment, was essentially rooted in you, and like, where do you? Is that like a lot of we'll go back to sport, but a lot of sport teaches you discipline. Discipline to be on time, discipline to work towards a goal, achieve something. But that, I feel something that's like, that's again an innate trait that you have to have developed since you were younger.
Yeah.
Is that like, is your mum a big part? Your parents and your family, obviously in general, are.
Right.
But is that something that you were taught early?
Yeah, I think sport, again, through sport, simply control what you can control, right? Like when we got into 1 store and we didn't leave that store until we were the best selling coffee, right? So it's like levels to this. If you're a 100-pound high school quarterback, you're not ready to go play in the SEC. So like get really good at high school, hit the weight room, pay your dues, and then by the time you're ready to graduate, somebody might give you a scholarship. So for us, we didn't move on to that 2nd store until we were the best selling coffee. Same deal with the 3rd store, 4th store. And then eventually those stores become 100-store chains, and for us, it's like, let's not move on to the next 100-store chain until we're the best selling coffee in the previous one. So control what you can control. Like we don't want to, we've stayed pretty disciplined with our geographical focus. Like we could go into 4,000 Walmarts tomorrow, but I can't support Bentonville, Arkansas right now. We're based in New York City. Like we can support our backyard.
Yeah, man, I want to show you something. I'm going to touch on what you just said, but read that.
Control the controllable. That's it.
That's like my life motto I talk to people about right now.
That's it, man.
There's so, and it's one of the questions on the podcast. It's like, what do you actually have the ability to do? You can only control what you can control.
Yeah.
If something else happens elsewhere that you can't have any relationship with to actually have an effect on, or had an effect to make it where it is today, why dwell on it?
Totally.
But what you can control is the vicinity of, I guess, what you're currently working, which is a really big strategy of what you and the boys are doing. Essentially what you've done is you've kept it so you've nailed the current market around with the East Coast area, would you say?
Yeah.
And so you've made sure that that was so strong that as you built out other sectors, it wasn't as if it was outside your reach to still attain what you could currently do. Because ultimately, people chat. And if you didn't nail this market, whether it be 1 store, 50 stores, 100 stores, that goes absolutely so quickly. And so if the person at Walmart still probably knows the buyer at Whole Foods and vice versa, I'm like, oh yeah, we said no to them because of they can't execute X, Z, and Y. And all of a sudden you're like, from the start, you're a fly on the wall, it's gone, see you later.
That's right.
So you've executed a strategy. Let's just make sure we do this well before we even think about anything else. Let's absolutely dominate this one task. Let's make sure no one else is top of mind but Super Coffee.
Totally, man. And that's exactly what happened. There's a beautiful chain of grocery stores called Wegmans up in upstate New York, 100 stores, and we became the best-selling coffee over the course of 18 months. Serious volume there. And it's a regional store. So we took that data down to Texas to a chain called H-E-B. Wegmans and H-E-B aren't competitors. And we said, hey, man, look at what we're doing up at Wegmans. It's a very similar store, very similar customer to you. The guy calls Wegmans and he's like, is this true? Are these numbers real? Yeah. So we get into Texas. Same deal. We bring it to Chicago to a chain called Meijer, not competitors to H-E-B or Wegmans. And because we built that case study for Wegmans, it's now the gift that keeps on giving because, all eyes are on Wegmans. That's it. Control what you can control, win where you're in.
Let's be clear though, I'm gonna have a massive assumption. Just because you got the first case study doesn't mean you're going to make sure you still nailed the second. You still had to execute the second. So you had to be able to still execute the first, maintain the first, and keep it going, as well as then get to this new place, execute just as well, if not better, as the first, because you've shown them numbers, they know what the potential is, and then continue to grow. So it's the same with any business. When you're doing something that's starting to expand, you can't lose sight of what you're existingly doing, even if it is a case study for your next thing, because that's exactly why you started in the first place. That is your brand. That's an extension of what you stand for. It is what you stand for. So if you lose sight of that, all of a sudden, it doesn't matter what goes on over number 2 or number 3, you've moved on from why people loved you in the first place.
Totally, yeah. And that first case study becomes an aberration.
Right.
That's a hoax. It's a fluke. And for you set the bar so high with Charlie Street 1 that if you open Charlie Street 2 and it doesn't do as good as this, then Charlie Street 1 is just a one-time thing.
Right.
So
exactly.
And you bring up a good point because it doesn't get any easier. We're not a recognizable brand yet. We're not doing Super Bowl commercials or billboards or anything like this. And because of that, we need to work exceptionally hard in chain number 2 and chain number 3. It's like if you broke a record in the weight room, the next time it was really hard to break that record.
Right.
The next time you show up, if you're going to beat that, you're not going to beat it by slacking off.
No.
You're going to have to work harder than you ever have.
I'm loving all this sport now. Absolutely am. And mate, on that note, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to check on our keto brownie and say hello to our live studio audience. Can I get a little holler?
Hey!
Dude, I just pulled this out. We've been smelling it along with the ladies. Girls?
So good.
Yeah, approved? Fantastic. You can see the edges of our brownie are definitely settled. So if I shake the pan a little bit, you'll see the center's a bit wobbly, but I'm kind of edging on the gooiness of a brownie. As this cools, it'll definitely solidify. That's one thing people forget with baked goods is that they take it out of the oven and it looks kind of wet, but due to the binding agent, in this case we've got coconut and the eggs, it does sit when it's cold. So let it cool down for a bit, and if it's really, really runny, you can see the edges are going to be fine, but if it's going to be really runny, just put it back in for a little bit longer.
Cool.
Speaking of a little bit longer, man, you and I have got a lot of funny games up ahead.
That's right.
But I think there's so many key takeaways, but one of the things I want to touch base on is definitely your day in general, because you travel pretty much 3 times as much as I do, and I travel a lot. So what's it like firstly, what is your morning routine? We'll use that as a quick lift off, but then what is a day like for you? So what is your morning routine?
Yeah, and it's funny because I sort of want to have this cookie cutter day where I wake up at 5 a.m. and I do my water and my coffee and my gym routine. Every single day is different. As much as I aspire to have a routine and sort of bring some clarity and structure to my life, it just doesn't happen that way. We're human, and like you said, my day each week is different, whether I'm on an airplane or whether I'm traveling, driving, wherever it is. So I'll wake up I've set a steadfast rule. I can't really do anything less than 7 hours of sleep now.
You've noticed that?
Yeah, because I used to like pride myself. 5 hours is all I need.
Yeah, baby, you
know?
got this. No.
Yeah, right. No, it doesn't work that way. And now that I try and get 8, sometimes 7. So if I go to bed I'll probably go to bed at around 10 o'clock, waking up at 5 or 6. And there's mornings where I hit snooze, but mostly I'll wake up, I'll have some water, put a little creatine in it, sometimes a lemon. Other than that, no real supplements. And if I'm not working out, I'll fast. So I won't have any calories before noon. Then I'll probably come here, say hi to kale with a little chicken and egg on it. But if I do work out, I'll grab a handful of berries before the gym, maybe a sweet potato, whatever I need, banana, and then hit the gym in the morning. And my workouts, I've been doing a lot of intensity or interval training, right? Definitely resistance training, but no longer like Olympic lifts and heavy stuff.
Sure.
We don't need to do heavy.
Nah, you don't need to. Absolutely. That's more of like a testosterone needing thing, you know what I mean? It's like, not required for you function every day. But what does the word health mean to you though, man? Like, because obviously we're amongst it. We don't talk about it as if it's like we no longer as, I'm going to classify, we're bros. We are. And so like, for that reason, we don't look at food like steamed broccoli, steamed chicken, and think that's our day-to-day anymore. I love the fact that my challenge is to convince anyone that it's not healthy unless it's tasty.
Right.
So what do you look at your day in obviously you're influencing this brand and your team in a positive way, but how do you look at health?
Yeah, I totally avoid excess sugar, excess carbs, processed foods. I try and eat whole foods whenever possible, but usually low carb. I eat a lot of meat, a lot of red meat, a lot of fish. And for me, health is everything, and it's all connected, whether it's workouts at the gym, or eating healthy throughout the day, or getting a full night's sleep, drinking enough water, like that all contributes to my productivity. And without that, my whole schedule, my whole energy is off. And people we train hard, we got after it a few weeks ago.
Absolutely.
And I need that like 4 or 5 times a week, not for vanity reasons, just to I need it, It's like give the work to the busiest person in the room. And without that, my whole day is off. I'm not productive in the office, I'm distracted. So I think fitness and food is really the driving force behind energy.
And how do you maintain that focus when you are traveling so much? Like, give us, I guess this leads on to my question of controlling the controllable. Now, you talked about controlling the controllable within work.
Yeah.
How does Jim control the controllable for himself when he's traveling so often?
Yeah, it's a non-negotiable, not because I need it, I need to get my reps in or anything like that, but because I know it's going to make me feel better than a cup of coffee or than anything artificial. Getting to the gym is sort of completes my day or completes my routine. And it's not crazy, we don't need to be banging weights for an hour and a half. If I'm traveling at a little Marriott, where they have the dumbbells up to 50 pounds and like a couple treadmills, I'll go move for 20 minutes, do some air squats, do some stretches, just that makes me feel better. I have to move. And days where I don't move, I feel it.
No, absolutely. I think that is the biggest thing when it comes to feeling, that hormonal response that we get from actually going to the gym and feeling good. Like, even as you said, if it's 20 minutes, I still feel like my blood's pumping and I've got that extra bit of pizzazz behind me. I think when we do go to those gyms, the hotel gyms, and sometimes people get demotivated by, I guess, how sterile they can be, we can understand. But a little quick takeaway is just to do a quick Tabata effort, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, pick 4 different exercises, 8 rounds, and that's something you don't have to think about. You just get it done in and out in the shower, and you're on to the location you're at, which is pretty exciting.
Totally.
It's a big change.
Same deal with meditation. People get distracted or discouraged by meditation. You don't need to sit down for 20 minutes and tune everything out. I get 5 minutes a day, if I'm lucky. And 5 minutes is the same thing as a quick workout for me, where it's sort of a quick reset. So you don't need to do these big extravagant things.
For those guys listening, and I think I say guys specifically, there's a lot of guys who I speak to who go, you meditate, and they question it, not from a look down upon me, but just question it because, I'm a young dude who loves the gym and loves being active and whatnot. What do you say to guys like that? What's your advice to someone to get started into meditating, or just give a perspective on why people meditate? Why do you meditate?
Yeah, first of all, I needed something, right? Because stress is inevitable when you're building a company. And like this one solution is change your lifestyle. And for guys like us, that's not an option, right? So for me, meditation had become a solution or a remedy to bring calmness to an otherwise crazy life. And it's one of those things that's tough because it's intangible. You know, like we could go to the gym and hit the bench press and our chest gets bigger, right? If you meditate, like you don't see any changes, like, but you feel different, you know. And I think because it's not tangible, it's harder to do it every day. And admittedly, I don't meditate as much as I work out. Like we focus on the physical because we can see it, feel it, touch it. But meditation for me has been everything. It's a reset. It's a calmness. Otherwise you kill ourselves, burn out from stress. You know, it's literally too much for anybody to handle without some type of escape.
Is that how you find yourself after each meditation, or do you still find challenged? Like, you know, when you finish meditation, I'm just trying to put in perspective. I know when I finish meditation, not every single one was awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to make it relatable to people going far out. I don't know if that's actually beneficial to me, but you and I both naturally get benefit from it, and we're just not perfect, and we're okay to admit that. Do you find that? Do you find sometimes you finish one, you're like, gosh, I wish I had a bit more time?
Yeah, totally. I think you got to take the judgment out of it.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't be like, come on, Dan, you're a loser. Like focus, you know,
Yep,
because I used to be like that. Like I'm like, geez, I can't sit still for 20 minutes. What's
Right,
wrong with me,
right.
Or like the classic open Instagram, close Instagram, open Instagram. You know, it's like what is wrong? So like just take the judgment away from it because we are all human. But 5 minutes, dude. It's a total refresh. It literally, like, if you get into it and if you like literally tune out, everybody's got 5 minutes to spare. And so for me, like that's just the reset I need, and I'll do it 3 p.m. You know, 2 or 3 p.m. instead of that cup of coffee.
Oh man, did we cut into your meditation time today? Oh no.
No, I actually got one in before I came.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, sweet.
That's
No
right.
wonder why you were just so open and ready. Not that you're not
No,
ready to
feeling
talk.
good.
Dude, I love this question. It's my favorite question. If Jim DeCicco was an absolutely amazing food, a meal, an ingredient, what would Jim be?
If I was an ingredient.
I almost put you in like, you got to be a part of one of 3 things. It's like you're one, your brother, and your 2 brothers or something else. And actually for your mum, by the way, just a quick shout out to your mum. She just, can I say her age?
Oh yeah.
She just turned 50.
50, 50.
What a woman. And
Oh,
you
yeah.
went to Italy, was it?
Yeah, Sicily.
Sicily.
Her family comes from Sicily.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
you got to
so
meet her, dude. You love her.
Oh, I would give her the big. I'd cook her dinner. I'd give her the biggest hug. I'd be
yeah,
like the 4th brother.
Yeah, we hit the gym. We hit the
Yeah,
gym.
does she?
Oh yeah, she's a beast.
Yes.
She's a beast.
I love it. So what would you be?
So my grandmother, my mom's mom, said to me once, she was a great cook, no longer with us, unfortunately, but she was like, and she was a real cook, but she was teaching me before I went to college and was like, you can make every meal better with salt and oil. So I'd be salt, right? I want to be the thing that makes everything taste a little better, you know?
You know, I've had a number of different guests in this podcast now, and that is something that you would think come out way more often.
Yeah.
You're the first person to ever
All
say
right.
it. That's awesome, man. Salt is the thing that makes... You know what the best thing is? People look at salt as something that adds flavor. It doesn't. You just bring out the best in that flavor that's already there. So you're already just helping your friends, you're helping us, or just be a better person. It just makes you even better as an ingredient. That's awesome. I may have to steal that one myself.
That's a good one.
Epic, dude. And, you know, you've obviously got a lot going on right now. Coming into Charlie Street every day is a massive challenge already, just with your time. But talk to me about what you got coming up. You're obviously releasing more of these epic flavors. What does the next 5 years for Super Coffee, your brothers and the team look like?
Yeah, I mean, so we started just with four flavors of Super Coffee. This is flavor number 5, a seasonal. And then we got into espresso. So we got 3 flavors of espresso, just a fast and effective energy. And then we got creamer, you know, for the hot coffee occasion. So these are the things that exist today. And as we look into 2020 and beyond, we want to get into the K-Cup market and do super coffee K-Cups with vitamins and collagen and antioxidants, right? And sort of enhance that at-home experience. I just read yesterday, 8 out of 10 cups of coffee are consumed at home.
What?
Yeah, consumed at
Really?
home.
Like using the pods?
No, I mean, however you do it, your
Yeah.
Chemex, your pods, whatever, but that was a surprising number. So that's a big market that we're getting into this year. Obviously, seasonal flavors. And one thing that I'm really excited about, I'll say it on the podcast, but in 2020, I want to get into like super milk. So if you look at like a Horizon chocolate milk, you know, like the organic milks with the straws,
Yeah.
it's delicious, but it's got 25 grams of sugar in it, right? And I drink them, and chocolate milk's a great recovery drink. So for us, let's get some whole milk, put a little cacao powder in it, put a little monk fruit in it, make a sugar-free super milk. Maybe even add a little MCT oil.
I mean, I love that. What excites you about that though? Why does that challenge excite you? What is it about that product that you go, yeah, firstly it's part of the Super Coffee family, but what difference does it make to people?
Totally, and it's this idea that you have to compromise taste for health, or health for taste, right? So like, we want to prove that things can taste good. You can still enjoy your food or your drinks, in this case chocolate milk, without being bad for you.
Awesome.
And moms don't know, like, oh, they see organic milk, but they don't realize that it's organic sugar, 26 grams of sugar too. So like for us, if we can be that healthy impact, both in coffee and other parts of people's days, would be cool.
That's epic, man. I'm really excited for you. You and I are going to have many conversations. I'm going to learn so much about you and what you already know. I mean, I had one chat with you on business sitting outside of Charlie Street, and just your network. I think it was the coolest thing. It wasn't, the people you have now as part of your friendship group is a result of who you and your brothers want to surround yourself with, but also just the kind of people you are. You make it so easy to chat to people because you are just awesome people yourself. And I think the biggest takeaway from anything today would just be, if you're a good person, you're going to succeed in some way, because people absolutely want to be around positive energy. And that's what Super Coffee is as a result of you three boys. Man, I'm pumped. I'm pumped to see what the next few years are like. I'm going to be part of it because I'm, yeah, bro.
Right back at you, brother.
Seriously. We're going to get stuck into this brownie. Of course, team, if you want to hit up and follow along on what Super Coffee are doing, what are the social handles, Jim? What do we got?
Simple, at drinksupercoffee and drinksupercoffee.com.
Awesome. You can find them out. You can see them at Whole Foods. Is there any other expansion in terms of East Coast, West Coast? What do we got?
We're in Target, Dwayne Reed.
Sweet.
Yeah, Sprouts.
All those
Check
fun
it out.
times.
All the good ones.
Epic. Anyway, guys, make sure you share this one. Add it to your Instagram story. Tag Jim. What's your Instagram, bro?
Jimmy DeCicco 5.
Straight up 5? Was that your number?
5, and that
was that your number?
That's right.
Were you a linebacker?
I was a running back. Other side of the ball.
Straight up, he was getting hit.
That's it.
Thanks a lot, team. Make sure to comment and always subscribe if you like what's going on, man. We're going to dig into this epic brownie.
Looking forward to that.
You can call this the Super Coffee because it's got Super Coffee in it.
All right.
Keto brownie. You.
Let's go.